really like that.
So there was a point in my life where social anxiety was the biggest pain I had. But I think I have to show you what I went through so you can understand why. See, from first grade all the way to 7th grade, I was made fun of every day. Whether it was because of my name, I was really overweight, or I was different, or my accent, I was ridiculed every day. So this led to a tremendous amount of really low self-esteem. But I still tragically really wanted to connect with people. But the pain was so bad that during recess, I had to go to the library because I couldn't stand the social pressure. When I was around 15, I read a line that said 89% of your life is going to revolve around communication. So even though I went through all this, I still prized my intelligence. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to beat the system. I'm going to figure it out. So one of the first books I read on my own was called How to Communicate. As I kept getting older, 17, 18, 19, I picked up every book on self-growth, self-help, motivation I could find. This also made me notice a really big fear I also had, which was approaching girls. I could not talk to girls. I had no friends that were girls all the way up to 17. When I was 18, I remember I would have rather jumped out of an airplane than talk to a girl. And I meant it. So this led to 5 years of diving into almost like pickup, or learning how to pick up girls. So I read every material, put into 1,000 hours of listening to MP3s about how to do this. From 20 to 23, I went out and partied every night of my life. I went to parties, to clubs, and I would just approach. I mean, that was the most scariest thing you could do, to approach a group of strangers and not know what to do next. It was like, and it's all about your self-presentation. I'm jumping up to you, how do I keep your attention? What am I going to do in the next moment? There's 2 big lines that really influenced me while doing this. I came across a line that said, self-confidence is a universal attractive force. The universal repelling force is insecurity. Now I had a problem. I was insecure about being insecure. This was like a feedback loop that would never be broken. Like now my biggest insecurity was showing that insecurity. So now I approached every opportunity with an armor, only showing my polished side, only showing the qualities of myself that I thought were acceptable while hiding the negative. And I thought this was a socially appropriate thing to do. What I later went to find was that it was like our vulnerabilities were the way we connect to people. The reason I found this was last December, I was here at a group at JFK University. There's a group of us that meet, we call it Lone Dialogue. We meet in a classroom and we discuss. During this particular presentation, we were sitting in a circle and people began to ridicule me. And there's a talking stick in the middle, so you can only talk when you have a stick. And I did not understand what was happening. I'm like, this hadn't happened to me in years. And all of a sudden it's happening again. It felt very much as if there was a group mind dictating this. And what arose was something almost, and I hadn't felt in a decade. It was like an emotion of emotions come up and drown me. Once I got the stick, I couldn't talk. I held it for a minute, shaking, and finally burst into tears, and the deepest sobbing I have ever done. What was important was that I realized at that moment I was going through a turning point in my life. What happened because of that was 3 more people in the room started crying, and I felt an immense connection to everybody there. I then asked, why did you guys want to see this part of me? Like, why were you pushing until I broke? Somebody said, dude, I want to see all of you. It meant a lot to me. Before, like, my idea was, you gotta step with your best foot forward. Now it's like, you gotta step forward with all your being. So I spent the next few days in isolation, thinking about the experience. You know, it was Christmas break, I went home to Tucson, Arizona. And again, immersed myself into like walking around, listening to lectures, this time more about self-confidence. And I was just really going on like, there's something I gotta understand. And I felt it was leading me somewhere. After 2 weeks, that led to like understanding vulnerability. And I began to understand that self-confidence was the willingness to be vulnerable, was their willingness to expose ourselves. See, when somebody approaches you, that's not necessarily confidence. That's willingness to risk who you are, to expose yourself, and be like, here I am. I'm willing to go what I'm after, and I'm willing to take the consequences even if I don't get it. A big fear I had of presenting is standing up. I have this saying, you know, where attention goes, energy flows, of having the group's attention and energy on me and not knowing what to do next. As if maybe I'm looked as a leader and not knowing what path to take. I asked last year in effective communication, the teacher, her name was Laura, what do you do if you're standing in front of a group and you don't know what to do? She said, just that. You say, I don't know. I did not understand her at the time. This went against all the self-programming I had gone through myself. I looked at her and she thought it was like an obvious thing. And for me, it was just, I didn't even know how to put that into my category of how to walk around the world. Now it seems obvious because it's an accepting of what is. If I don't know, the real thing to do is I don't know. I can walk away from the place with no regret because I don't know. Because you know what? Because it is what it is, and that's who I was in that moment. Thank you.